The next time you walk outside, do something unusual. Stop. Look up. Not at the clouds, not at the power lines. Look at the birds, because there is a good chance they are already looking at you. To most people, birds are just background noise. A crow on a telephone wire, a pigeon in the park, a sparrow hopping along the sidewalk. We barely notice them as we rush through our daily lives. But what if those birds know exactly who you are? What if they can recognize your face, remember your actions, and warn others about you? It sounds like science fiction. It is not. Scientists have discovered that some bird species possess an astonishing ability that completely changes how we think about the wildlife living around us. And by the end of this story, you will understand why a bird you have never seen before might already know your reputation. Humans often assume we are the smartest creatures in our environment. We build cities, create technology, and shape entire landscapes to suit our needs. Because of that, we tend to think animals are simply reacting to whatever happens around them. But many birds are doing far more than reacting. They are observing, they are learning, and most importantly, they are remembering. Research over the last few decades has revealed that certain bird species possess remarkable intelligence. They can solve puzzles, use tools, plan ahead, and recognize individual human faces. That means when a bird looks at you, it's not just seeing a human, it's seeing a specific human. One of the most famous demonstrations of this ability came from researchers at the University of Washington. The scientists wanted to answer a simple question: can wild crows recognize individual people? To find out, they designed a fascinating experiment. Researchers wore a distinctive caveman mask while temporarily capturing and tagging wild crows for scientific study. The birds were safely released afterward, but the experience was understandably stressful. Days later, the researchers returned to campus. This time, they wore the same caveman mask while simply walking around. The reaction was immediate. Crows began calling loudly from rooftops and trees. More birds arrived. Soon, entire groups were following the researchers, scolding them and warning others nearby. The crows clearly remembered the face associated with the unpleasant experience. But the truly shocking discovery came later. Many of the birds joining the mob had never been captured at all. Somehow, they already knew the masked person represented a threat. The original crows had communicated that information to others. In other words, the birds were sharing intelligence. Think about how incredible that is. A crow encounters a dangerous individual. It remembers that person's appearance. Then it tells other crows. The next time that person appears, multiple birds react, even if they have never met the individual before. That's not simple instinct, that's social learning. And it gets even more impressive. Birds possess extraordinary visual systems. Many species can see colors that humans can't even imagine. While humans have 3 color receptors in our eyes, many birds have 4. This allows them to detect ultraviolet light, revealing details hidden from human vision. To a bird, the world may appear far richer and more detailed than it does to us. Patterns invisible to our eyes suddenly become visible. Subtle differences in clothing, movement, and appearance become easier to identify. This helps explain why birds can become experts at recognizing individuals. They notice details most humans completely miss. Researchers have discovered that birds also process visual information extremely quickly. Fast-moving animals require fast vision. A bird flying through a forest at high speed must react instantly to branches, predators, and obstacles. As a result, birds can analyze visual information with incredible efficiency. When you walk through their environment, they are gathering information every second. Your height, your movement, your behavior, your face, all of it becomes part of a mental profile. And once that profile is created, it can last for years. Crows are especially famous for their memories. Studies have shown they can remember threatening human faces long after the original encounter occurred. Years later, they may still react defensively when they see the same individual. Imagine remembering the face of every stranger who ever annoyed you. Now imagine never forgetting. That's remarkably close to what some birds can do. But crows are not the only species capable of this. Researchers studying pigeons discovered similar results. In one experiment, 2 people regularly visited a park. One person calmly walked among the birds. The other frequently chased them away. After several encounters, the pigeons learned exactly who was friendly and who was not. Then the researchers switched clothing. If pigeons were only recognizing jackets or colors, they should have become confused. They did not. The birds continued avoiding the person who had previously chased them. They recognized the face, not the outfit. This demonstrates something important. Birds are not simply reacting to random visual cues. They are identifying specific individuals. That means every interaction you have with wildlife matters. The person who feeds birds every morning may develop a positive reputation. The person who constantly disturbs nesting sites may develop a negative one. Either way, the birds remember. Perhaps the most fascinating part of the crow research emerged years after the original experiment began. Researchers continued testing the birds long after the original captures occurred. A decade later, the caveman mask still triggered aggressive reactions. But there was a problem. Many of the original crows were gone. Some had died, others had moved away, yet younger birds who had never witnessed the original event still recognized the mask as a danger. How? The answer was cultural transmission. Knowledge was being passed from one generation to the next. Young crows learned from older crows. The threat survived even after the original witnesses disappeared. Imagine hearing stories about a dangerous stranger from your parents. Then, years later, you recognize that stranger yourself. That's essentially what was happening. The birds were preserving information across generations. The threat became part of their collective memory. Suddenly, the world outside your window looks very different. Those birds are not random creatures living separate lives from ours. They are members of complex social networks. They exchange information, they teach one another, they remember experiences, and they make decisions based on what they learn. We often think we are the observers of nature. The truth is that nature is observing us too. Every day, countless birds watch the people moving through their territories. Some humans earn trust, others earn suspicion. Either way, the birds are paying attention. The next time you hear a crow calling from a rooftop or notice a pigeon watching from a nearby fence, remember something important. You are not just looking at a bird. That bird may be looking right back at you and recognizing exactly who you are. Long after your footsteps fade and your daily routine is forgotten, the creatures above may still remember you. And in ways we are only beginning to understand, they may even tell your story to the next generation.